All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Brandon Lee. Thank you so much for joining us for the FCX webinar series on marketing communications. This is the second webinar in a series of webinars that we'll be conducting for the various use cases and research categories in which fuel cycle exchange partners can provide a lot of value. And so last week, we covered the research category of product development, where we discussed where tools such as Fast Focus, VoxPopMe, and Conjointly can be used for early stage product development efforts. So this week, today, we're going to be covering the topic of marketing communications, followed by user experience and usability testing on November 15th. Following that, we'll dive into shopper insights, customer experience, and brand health to round out the series. So thanks again for joining me today. And before we get started on the broad category of marketing communications, first I'd like to just go through a quick overview of fuel cycle exchange. So what is fuel cycle exchange? Fuel cycle exchange really represents a custom research suite, which is really going to complement the research that you're doing in the fuel cycle research platform. And so, no matter what sort of industry you're in, whether you're in product development, shopper insights, customer experience, marketing, fuel cycle exchange has a use case for you. Not only that, but fuel cycle exchange is the leading insights marketplace. And so we have our product and research teams that are constantly evaluating the new insights tools that are developed and released today. So through our exchange, you have the means to really access the best-in-class insights tools and data sources that are available in the ecosystem today. And we realize research teams are very busy, and it takes a lot of time and effort to evaluate these tools. So we really take that legwork out for you. And then last but not least, fuel cycle exchange is a way to keep data connected. So you can really unify the research that you're doing within one single unified research platform. And not only that, but the data that you collect and use to ultimately understand your customers and businesses that you work with. All of that is connected in one research platform. So just a broad overview of what FCX is, and then just a quick slide here that really showcases the broad array of use cases that fuel cycle exchange can really satisfy here across all of these different tools. And the exciting thing is that the exchange is constantly growing. It's always being added to with new and additional tools. And three recent examples of that would be our partnership with the leading UX insights platform, UserZoom, which we'll be covering in next week's webinar. And then some exciting developments in biometric insights through eye tracking with Eyes Decide, which we'll focus on today. And then last but not least, we have Fast Focus, which is a really rapid and cost-efficient or cost-effective predictive market platform, which will allow you to rapidly test concepts, marketing ideas, and package designs. So take a look and see that there are a wide array of use cases available through the fuel cycle exchange. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and just dive into a quick definition of marketing communications testing. And so it's really broadly defined as all of the messaging and media that you can deploy in order to communicate with your target audience or the broader market. And of course, the testing that we're doing is to ensure that this messaging is effective. So testing these communications, whether they're in the form of a brochure or a print advertisement or a digital ad that's embedded into a website or a video that plays during a television show, testing this with your targeted and intended audience is really vital to establishing things like, messaging, appeal, and brand, and really ensuring that, this is all firmly planted in those audiences that you wish to reach. And of course, within Fuel Cycle and within communities is where we house, dedicated respondents that really make up that sort of target demographic or audience that we're hoping to reach. So yeah, just a few broad categories in terms of marketing communications. There's of course, traditional and digital advertising. So this ranges from different advertising spots such as billboards or television advertising, radio commercials, magazine and newspaper advertisements. So that would really fall into the traditional space. And then digital advertising, I would say, is we should really see this as more of like a strategy where we can really take advertising and its messaging, and we can really tailor it and target it to a specific audience, which is then delivered through like a digital format, such as an email campaign or banner ads that may exist in a website. Public relations is really that broad overarching category where we're really affecting the way in which a business or brand or entity is perceived by the public. And then we also have direct marketing through traditional and digital means where, rather than, relying on perhaps a retailer to sell a product or service, we're the ones actually reaching out directly to promote or sell that product. And then, in terms of, communicating promotions to, help out with sales. We have sales promotions both in store or online, which would include, which could also bleed into the direct marketing space, of course. And in-store sales promotions can consist of, perhaps banners or flyers that are created and distributed within stores, or online distributions through marketing or email campaigns to promote a sort of 25% off discount, for instance. And then with the advent of social media platforms such as Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, there's also a realm of social testing. So, these sorts of ads occupy these really heavily used social media platforms such as Facebook or Snapchat, and these ads can really exist in a quick turn format, and are really designed to catch the attention of your average social media user. So in Snapchat, for instance, this would include like a quick, perhaps a 15-second video that plays between different stories that your fellow Snapchatters are viewing. So, or posting. So just a broad overview of some of the categories within marketing communications. And then in terms of what we're going to explore specifically within the marketing communication space would be the three following use cases where, video ads are without a doubt one of the most widely used forms of marketing communication. And so we're going to talk about how we can use a platform like Pilotly to help enable ad sales or enable ad sales within your media or entertainment platform. And then also in terms of an individual brand, how we can compare different cuts of your own creative content or promotional material to really see what resonates between two varying versions of an ad or promotion. Next up, we have some exciting, we're going to have an exciting discussion around visual engagement. So really tapping into biometric insights, and we can use a tool such as Eyes Decide, which is one of our newest FCX partners, to really help quantify attention to different areas of interest in either a video or a website interface or a promotional brochure or print advertisement that you're looking to launch. We can really use this to, we can really use eye tracking to really understand where people visually engage with your advertisements. So we'll cover that in our second use case. And then last but not least, we have rapid marketing optimization. And so when it comes to the rapid development of quick turn marketing concepts and ideas, we can really use a predictive market platform such as Fast Focus in order to refine messaging, take the very best messaging with the highest rates of success, and really then combine that with your array of different assets and images to really come up with a concept that's validated with predictive market insights, and to really understand what people place a lot of confidence in terms of what will succeed or resonate with a target audience. So these are the broad use cases that we're going to tackle today during the webinar. So let's go ahead and get started with advertising effectiveness. And so really this use case is really focused around essentially enabling additional ad sales with your media or content platform. And so the use case would be to really test the level of engagement that your target audience has with an advertisement using different ad breaks within a within a natural in-video context environment. And so what we mean by that is, of course, when you watch like a television program on cable television, there are those ad pods, collections of ads that play within the different breaks of a television episode. And so what we can do with a platform like Pilotly is really recreate that really natural in-video context environment. And so it really feels like you're watching that television show and then having these advertisements come in a really familiar format. So we're creating that sort of environment. And the goal that we're hoping to achieve with something like this is to really help deliver on key insights that you can then deliver to potential advertisers for your platform to really effectively measure ad effectiveness. And so, some really key measurements would be things such as aided versus unaided recall, the ad's ability to really instill a message, something that the respondent or audience would want to take away with them, the general likability of the ad. These are all important things that you'd want to effectively demonstrate to your interested advertisers so that you can really instill a lot of confidence in terms of conducting advertising with your target demographic of viewers, as opposed to a more traditional spot that may be broadcast to a more general audience. And so in terms of the process, what we can do is we can use FuelCycle and Pilotly to launch a study that tests a target advertisement within a collection of different other ads. And we can use these ad breaks that are then embedded within the context of relevant content to your network. And so if you're a network such as like Comedy Central, you can go ahead and take content from your network and then embed a series of ads within an ad pod within the commercial break of your content. So this really, again, recreates that familiar, in-context environment. And then you can then, of course, field this study to your FuelCycle community, which is comprised of your core demographic of viewers. So, tapping into your FuelCycle research community, you can really, launch this to your core demographic. And so the takeaway from all of this is that with potential advertisers, they can really make strategic buys for your specific audience. So when we test this ad within the context of your target demographic, we can really instill a lot of confidence in terms of purchasing these strategic buys of advertising space and time. And these insights can really prove that your viewers are much more engaged with the ads and are much more effective with your core demographic of viewers. And so just a quick look at some of the methodologies that Pilotly can offer. I spoke about the the in-video natural context, and so here in the context of like a Vice or Viceland TV show, we can air the content, and then right here is where we go ahead and insert that ad pod or ad break with that specific target ad that a potential advertiser is interested in running. We can then insert that here in the middle of this ad pod, and then have the rest of the content play. And through Pilotly's advanced dial testing and sentiment capabilities, we can get that in-the-moment feedback from our viewers as they go ahead and view this content and provide their feedback through the use of surveys that you can insert at the beginning, middle, or end of your content. And so with like unaided recall, we can go ahead and insert a survey at the end. We could also replay that target advertisement at the end of the content, and then ask some follow-up questions to test for different aided recall characteristics and insights, and really just really pull and survey your respondents on things like message takeaway, likability, and purchase intent. And then in addition to that use case, Pilotly can certainly help with different comparative studies on your own promotions and video advertisements. And so if you have two different, or if you have variants of what you're looking to use for advertising, you can certainly use Pilotly to really split test these different cuts or creatives, and then see whichever would resonate the most with your target audience. So lots that we can do in terms of testing this sort of marketing communication, and this is what's available to you now through our partnership with Pilotly. All right, and then next up, let's talk about visual engagement. And so when it comes to biometric insights, eye tracking is definitely a very interesting sort of category that our most recent partner, Eyes Decide, can certainly help satisfy. And so Eyes Decide is the leading eye tracking insights tool. And what we can do with a tool such as this in the use case is we can really evaluate the visual engagement of marketing materials. And so this is very broad, but you can essentially test email newsletters. You can test out print brochures or advertisements. You can test like your emails and banner ads that are embedded within like an actual website. And this is really used to evaluate, where people visually engage with an advertisement. We of course have a limited amount of time and space in which to catch that attention and really communicate, key messaging or different attributes of like an advertisement. And so using Eyes Decide, we can really quantify, what catches that attention. And by uncovering, attention hotspots, we can really ensure that like the most important content in your ad or video is being viewed. And so in terms of a process, we can, of course, launch an Eyes Decide eye tracking experiment directly through Fuel Cycle, and you can target your own targeted segments and audience, and essentially collect eye tracking recordings and view biometric reports that tell us exactly where people engaged with an advertisement. We can see how long they spent viewing a certain portion of an advertisement or area of the advertisement. We can quantify areas of interest, so we can basically map out regions of like a brochure and understand how long people spend on like an informational section versus like a graphic, etc. And really the takeaway from a use case such as this is that we can really ensure that the audience that you're looking to launch this advertisement to is viewing the most important marketing content. And this is all done through the help of eye tracking heat maps, areas of interest statistics. You can go dive into user replay videos that show you how people engaged with your advertisement visually, and then 3, 5, and 10-second breakdowns that show you where visual engagement was being captured within those critical time segments there. So just a quick video actually to show you what this looks like. So here I'm just going to play a short video that shows eye tracking in action. And as you can see, we get this really great visual, and essentially the red dots that you're seeing on the screen here are respondents that are actually, viewing an interface or an advertisement or taking a look at a banner ad within the context of a web interface. And so you can really see this is a user replay video where somebody is visually engaging with something you're looking to test. And so, yeah, just a quick video to give you an idea of what this looks like in practice. And then if we go ahead and move past that, just a quick breakdown of some of the reporting features. And so areas of interest, as you can see on this slide, you can map certain areas of a web interface. And so if we were to looking to test the visual engagement of a banner ad, you can map that out in this interface here and then see if anyone even really tracks to that visually when they're viewing this in the context of a like a website, for instance. So that would be an area of interest report. We also have heat maps, and so if we have like a brochure or a print advertisement of some sorts, we can see exactly where people have visually engaged with these with this color-coded sort of indication of visual engagement. So red really being where people focused on the most when you're testing this content. And then last but not least, we have user replays. So you could actually sit there and view individual recordings and take a look at how individual users or respondents in your audience were engaging with your content. So that's Eyes Decide, very exciting and very different from what we're offering here in the Fuel Cycle Exchange. So hope you guys liked what you saw, no pun intended. But let's go ahead and jump into our final use case, which would be Agile Marketing Optimization. And so this use case is really focused around Fast Focus, which is a quick turn predictive market platform that allows us to rapidly test different concepts such as new products or marketing and messaging concepts and early stage package designs. We can really do this quickly and easily and in a cost-efficient manner using Fast Focus. And so the use case here is to really rapidly and efficiently gather insights into what is the most effective marketing concept for things like taglines or claims, such as in the realm of messaging, and then also being able to test the different assets or imagery that you'd like to bundle alongside this marketing concept. And so the goal is to quickly understand and refine your most impactful concepts through iterative predictive market studies. And so in a iterative fashion, and this is something you can really do in the matter of a couple of days, is you can start with identifying your most effective messaging, really fine tune it and refine it down to your top or most successful messaging and ideas, and then we can then take those winning ideas or messages and we can then test that with an array of different assets. So your very best messaging is then tested against your various assets and imagery, and then those winning ideas can then be kind of tested in a final round within this predictive market study. And so in terms of the process, one thing to say about Fast Focus, it is definitely an engaging and it's a very quick turnaround in terms of essentially gathering this feedback from your respondents. So for a process-wise, what we can do is we can engage our target audience by launching multiple fast-focused markets in succession. And so that initial market study tests for the very best messaging. Then we can use its reporting and dashboards to take a look at idea rankings and the rationale that respondents are required to leave in terms of what they think is the most successful idea, the idea that's most likely to succeed. So these insights are all gathered through rapid, successive market studies that you can deploy in a engaging and cost-efficient manner. And so, in terms of the takeaway from something like this is that you can really refine that marketing concept. It's realized with the help of this predictive market study, and you can really understand what the most appealing messaging and imagery is. And then this is also, you could also have this validated by conducting some split testing for your top tier ideas and concepts. And so, the question is, how exactly does Fast Focus collect this sort of insight in a predictive market study? And so what we can do here, I've got a quick screenshot of and a breakdown of exactly how the respondent experience looks and feels like. And so here we have a basic market study, and what we can do is we can take a look at the winning ideas here. What respondents are able to do is actually they can take a look at a slew of different marketing messaging and concepts, and they can then place bets of confidence on what they think the most impactful messaging is, or what the creative asset that's most likely to succeed. They can place these indications of, they can invest in these ideas. Each respondent is given a array of investment tokens, and what they can do is say, okay, I'm going to bet or invest 10 tokens on this idea out of the 20 that they're given. And so relative to how many tokens a respondent is given, this really feeds into the passion score, which is basically a weighted average of the confidence that your respondents place on these various ideas. And so this sort of chart breakdown here tells us exactly how many investments were gathered for each of the concepts. And we can have members who invest a high or large amount of tokens on a idea. If members are particularly not too confident in an idea, they can also invest negative tokens, which are essentially you're investing or betting against the success of an idea. And so through this sort of predictive market study, we're able to really capture that system 1 and system 2 insight through this sort of predictive market method. And not only that, but we can also gather some really valuable rationale. And so what this allows you to do through this quick turn study is you can actually gather and take a look at the verbatim based on respondents that had a lot of confidence in your top tier idea. And so you can really analyze that verbatim. You can really use this passion score as a quantitative measure for how likely an idea is to succeed. And all of this is done in a quick turn format. And really through this use case, what we're doing is we're rapidly testing several marketing concepts. Again, the messaging and the imagery and assets that you're looking to use. All of this can be quickly refined and tested with your target audience. And this is all done by integrating Fast Focus into your fuel cycle community. And so if I go to the next slide here, in terms of like the automated reporting, you can see that the platform offers the idea ranking. So you can quickly see which ideas resonate the most with your target audience. So the idea or concept itself, a breakdown of the investments that your members have taken on this idea, and then the passion score here, which is taking into account how many tokens were invested by what number of people, the sort of verbatim that they left to describe why they made that investment, and just the sort of aggregate of the positive and negative tokens that were invested in each idea. You can take a look at the rationale as well, so we can really filter and see, all right, let's take a look at what people have to say that bet over 50% of their tokens on a specific idea. And you can really understand why they feel so passionately about a specific idea and its potential success. You can take a look at the individual spread of investment tokens, an overview of the overall sentiment for the verbatim and rationale, and then a way to track engagement. So exactly, where did these respondents come from, and what is the sort of like turnaround and engagement and complete rate. And Fast Focus reports very, very high levels of engagement, especially with millennial audiences. And the platform supports a great mobile responsive interface, which makes it very easy to participate, very quick turn, and engagement rates are over 90% on such studies. And so that was our final use case here for marketing communications testing. I would say that if you're interested in any one of these integrations, please feel free to reach out to your client success manager. And this is where we can then schedule for more targeted demos and presentations. And as the solutions consultant over here at Fuel Cycle, I'll most likely be the one to lead that for you. So really looking forward to diving deeper into these tools. And that is about it for our second webinar in the Fuel Cycle Exchange use case webinar series, where we've covered marketing communications. So join us next time for our webinars on usability and user experience testing, shopper insights, customer experience, and brand health. Thank you so much for your time.